Skinny Hardaway Southern T back with another EP. Y'all do your boy a favor, y'all smash that like button for your boy when you roll in. Whether you're here for a good time or a long time, I greatly appreciate you sliding through. If this your first time, do your boy a solid. Don't make it your last time. Hit that subscription button there as well. We talk this good boxing, MMA, sports, parlays, predictions, every single day and not just today. Man, today we here with probably, right, one of, if not the most talked about fights, right? Fights that's actually going to happen, right? In the last, let's say, man, shit, since it's been announced for sure, right? Last what, 4 months, right? Type deal. 2026, right? Let's just say 2026. One of the most definitely one of the most talked about fights in 2026 up until this point. Man, we got Zen. Yeah, my bad. I kicked myself out that time. That was me. That was my big finger. Yeah, my bad. But yeah, most definitely one of the most talked about fights in 2026 up until this point. Right. This has been probably one of the hottest topics, right? You know what I mean? In boxing, right? Directly, indirectly, right? This has been one of the hottest topics in boxing. Who wins Xander? Who wins Jerome Boost Ennis? And right, if we're looking at like the grand scheme of things, right, it's pretty split, right? And then it's crazy how like people who think Xander is going to win think he's going to wash Boots. People who think Boots are going to win, they think he's going to wash Xander, right? It's really not a whole lot of gray area, right? In between, right? The side that feels like the s- the side, the people when they feel like a side is going to win this fight is mostly, they feel like it's a squash match, right? On either side, who wins. And I guess I understand it, right? Because I could see paths, right, where both of these fighters possibly, if things just go, terribly wrong, you know what I mean, for both guys, could squash the other fighter. Right. It very well could happen, right? I could see a scenario where Jerome Boost Ennis can come out here and not be touched, right? And I can see a scenario where Xander can come out here because man, I didn't realize how big Xander Zayas was, right? Or people are always saying, how big Jerome Boost Ennis is, right? The people are always saying how big Jerome Boost Ennis is, right? We fight all night TV was good. Shout out my guy. We fight all night TV. We fight all night. I don't know if it's your first time, my brother, but do me a solid, man. Don't make it your last time. Greatly appreciate you sliding through. Man, if you could hit that thumbs up for your boy, man. Subscribe to the channel, man. We talk boxing, MMA, sports, whatever you can bet on. We we talk that we talk it over here, man. We having a boxing conversation right now, man. Uh right. My guy, we fight all night. Say boots by Master Class. Shout out my guy, we fight all night. Appreciate you sliding through. You know what I mean? I think it's gonna be a hell of a fight, right? I didn't realize how big, Jerron, I didn't realize how big, Xander Zayas was, man, until he got in front of Jerome Boost Ennis, man. People are always talking about, how big Jerome Boost Ennis is, right? Some people feel like he still should be fighting at 160, right? So if we're saying that Boots probably should move up and Boots is huge and whatnot, man, Xander Zayas has to be, man, goddamn 175 pounder then, because he actually makes Jerome Boost Ennis look rather small, right? He makes Jerome Boost Ennis look average size, right? He makes Jerome Boost Ennis look like a regular person. Like people been saying that Jerome Boost Ennis is a weight bully and whatnot. When I saw him get in the ring, I mean, when I saw Xander Zayas and Jerome Boost Ennis stand in front of each other, bro, I was amazed at how much bigger Xander Zayas. Let me get on my feet. I was amazed at how much bigger Xander Zayas was. Hold on, let me turn my ass down a little bit because I feel like I'm gonna be here for a second. I was amazed at how much bigger Jerome Boost Ennis was compared. I mean that Xander Zayas was compared to Jerome Boost Ennis. Like I was shocked. Like you know what I mean? Because I know Boost is a big guy, right? I know Boost is a big guy. You know what I mean? So when I saw Xander, I was like, okay, they probably about the same size. No, Xander actually makes Boots looks like a regular guy, right? I no longer believe that Jerome Boots Ennis is a 168 pounder because Xander Zayas is what 168 pounders look like, right? That's what a 168 pounder looks like. They look like Xander Zayas, right? I think Boots probably maxes out at 160 at this point, right? And some people could say I'm overselling it, man, but go look at those press conferences, man. Xander Zayas, and go look at the now muscles. I ain't even talking about his muscles. I'm just talking about him having a huge size, it being a huge size discrepancy that I didn't think was there. Right? Didn't think that Xander would be that much bigger than Boost. Now on fight night is may even out, which is why they got weigh-ins and all that good stuff. We get to see him, but Boost is not going to be the bigger guy in this fight. Is what I'm getting at in totality. People are always talking about how big Jerome Boost Ennis is, right? Well, now you got what you wanted, right? Because he's damn sure not going to be the bigger fighter in this matchup with Xander Zayas. Xander Zayas looked like he ate Xander Zayas for breakfast, and now it's two Xander Zayas is living inside of one Xander Zayas. that's what that's what that's what Xander Zayas looked like. Xander Zayas looked like he ate Xander Zayas, and now it's two Xander Zayas is living inside of Xander Zayas, right? But I digress, man. I think this is gonna be a great fight, right? I think this is gonna be a great fight, and I'm trying to say enough without saying too much, without giving y'all my pick, because y'all know I like to. I gotta make it suspenseful, right before for I give y'all my pick. But I will say this, man. I'm a little worried for both fighters, man. I'm sick of you. I'm a little worried. I'm a little worried for both fighters, right? Somebody finna go live. I'm a little worried for both fighters, right? And I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna start with Xander Zayas, right? I'm a little worried for both fighters, but yeah, I'm more worried for Jerome Boost Ennis, right? I'm more worried for Jerome Boost Ennis, and I'm gonna tell you why. But let's start with Xander Zayas, right? Now, with Xander Zayas, the situation with Xander is Xander Xander is at a place in his career, right? Still pretty early for Xander, right? This is early in Xander's career, so I don't necessarily feel like that Xander is under as much pressure as Jerome Boost Ennis. Now, maybe that's unfair. Maybe it's fair. Maybe it's unfair, right? But I don't feel like just with where he's at, he just renewed his deal with Top Rank, right? Just re-signed with Top Rank, just read up with Top Rank extension. So win, lose, or draw, he's already locked into a deal with Top Rank, right? When he was speaking about it, he said, Top Rank had a plan for him. They discussed what they wanted to do, right? So it sounds like win, lose, or draw, Xander Zayas, you know, career is set, right? He's younger. He's about 21 years old, 22, something like that. I was surprised at how young he really is. I know he's under 25, right? You know what I mean? So he's a really young guy, right? So he has a lot of career left in him, right? This could be, well, he just stepped up a little too early and he fought Jerome Buzini's and he lost. But he's already been a unified champ at 154, uh, right? This early at this stage in his career. And one loss wouldn't necessarily hurt him, right? But if you're Jerome Boost Ennis, right? Jerome Boots Ennis has like 30 plus fights. Jerome Boots Ennis is about what 28 years old. He's in his prime, 28, 29 years old, something like that, right? One of the two. He's in his prime, right? Some people feel that it has taken him, a long time to get, to this point, right? Some people feel like maybe he should have been here, given his talent, right? It's a gift and a curse, right? Given his talent. I'm just being logical, right? The logical people. Some people are just assholes, right? But logical people, right? Give him this talent, how good he is, right? You could have been here. They feel like maybe you could have been here. I'm not one of those people. I think he probably right where he should be, right? But you probably feel like, hey, bro, you could have been here 25 years ago. You got 30 fights. You've been fighting quote unquote tomato cans for a long ass time, right? So there's that aspect of it, So if he loses, where does Jerome Boots Ennis go from here being 28, 29 in his career? He loses to a prospect in Xander Zayas, right? And what some people feel may be his quote unquote first real step up fight. I don't feel like it's his first real step up fight. I feel like Stanionis was supposed to be a step up fight, but he washed up the step up. So now, people got to tuck their tail and say, well, Stanionis wasn't nothing anyway. But there were people logically picking Stanionis to beat Boots. He washed him, right? But this is a step up fight. This is his first chance to unify a division. This is his first chance to become a two division champion, right? Some people, and then you got some people who's not gonna get either of these guys credit anyway, right? They feel like Xander not good, so I'm not gonna give him no credit. They feel like Boots not good, I'm not gonna give him no credit. I heard this, right? You hear crazy shit in these boxing streets. I can't even remember exactly where I was at, but I was on a panel. I can't remember exactly where I was at, but I heard somebody say, well, Boots ain't fought nobody. Xander ain't fought nobody. So no matter who win, it ain't gonna matter because they both still ain't fought nobody. And that's a big part of what's wrong. You know what I mean with boxing fans. That's why I say boxing fans like it's a lot of bitching. It'd be a lot of bitching going on with boxing. There ain't a lot of bitching going on with MMA fans. You're talking to a guy who watch both, right? With the boxing community, it's a lot of bitching going on, right? And bitching sells in the boxing community. By bitching, I mean, crying, complaining, being controversial, shit like that, right? A lot of bitching going on, right, with the boxing fans. So I literally heard somebody say that it don't matter if Boots or Xander win because neither one of them fought nobody to prove themselves. So that's why they fight one another. So you have to give one fighter credit for beating the other fighter. If both these guys have hella potential, they get in the ring, they fight one another, and one wins. How you not gonna give either of them credit? Right? You know what I mean? That's just crazy. But you hear some wild shit in these YouTube streets, right? But if Jerome Boots is to lose to Xander, right, it's gonna be a much, much tougher path back to the top for him, right? Much longer road back to the top for him than Xander Zayas because Xander Zayas has a lot left in his career. Boots has about, let's just say, Boots has 6 years left, right? Xander got about maybe 10 to 12 years left, right? Given the fact that how young that he is. Boots is in a position, right? Basically, what I'm saying is Boots is in the spot, Boots is in a position where Boots has to do it now. There is no tomorrow for Boots. He can't say, "Oh, I lose this one, I'll get it back next time," right? Because there may not be a next time for Jerome Boots Ennis, right? 28 years old. You have the promotional backing, right? You have all the hype. You got Philadelphia behind you, right? You got the U.S. behind you. You got the knockouts, right? You got the style. You got the flash. You could talk your shit, right? So that comes with fan support and that comes with people who dislike you. So unfair or fair, people are ready for Jerome Boots and it's to fail. It's kind of like they're building it up to where he's not going to get much credit anyway. But it's most that career that doesn't the credit that somebody who don't fight give you, right, don't matter. But you winning this fight does keep your career intact, right? Does keep your career on the upward trajectory, right? Because I would think, right? And some people feel like Eddie hasn't done a good job anyway. I was kind of alluding to that, right? Like some people feel like you could have done this at 25 years old, right? Now, whether that's because it's Jerome Boots in his fault or it's management fault, or the way he's been moved or whatnot. But he is here now. You know what I mean? He is here now. Type deal. So I feel like because he's here now, he has to strike. Hey, like he has to strike right iron is hot. He has to make it happen. There really is no next time for Jerome Boots Ennis, right? He's not a spring chicken anymore. He's still a young fighter in his prime, right? But losing in your prime to basically, right, a prospect. Now he's a championship prospect for sure. He's a double champ, right? He's a championship prospect for sure. But, you know, some people still label Xander Zayas a prospect. He most definitely would be a prospect if you comparing him, to Boots age wise. He's been they've been professional. Boots have been professional for a long time, right? Because he went pro earlier, right? They've been professional at the top of the game, right? It feels like for about the same time, right? So you would think they're about the same age, but Jerome Boots Ennis, you know, is a little older than Xander. Has more fights too, right? You know what I mean? Which is common, right? When you go pro earlier, you tend to have more, build up fights. You tend to get your practice, on the job, right? But I'm saying that all that to say, man, that Boots really doesn't have, you know, he don't have chances, right? Xander Zayas has some chances, right? This won't be his last chance, right? His first loss at 23 years old, right? He'll get another shot. For Boots to have his first loss at 28 years old, then you may get you another shot when you're 32 years old, right? And who knows if you're going to be primed and shape enough to win it then. So man, Boots has to strike while the iron is hot. This is what I think, y'all. This is one of the key pieces I think. This is what I think is going to come down to. Finna get into my predictions as this is what I think that it's going to. We finna get into the actual schematics of the fight, right? The actual breakdown, not the shit surrounding it, right? This is what I think is going to be the key piece in this fight. Which Jerome Boots Ennis are we going to get? Which Xander Zayas are we going? I'm bringing the camera up in a minute until we finna roll one. Which Jerome Boots Ennis are we going to get? Which Xander Zayas are we going to get? Right? Are we going to get the Jerome Boots Ennis who comes in here, just seeking the knockout? Because as quiet as kept, right? If as quiet as kept, Xander Zayas can box. So Jerome Boots Ennis think he's just going to come in here, press him out, wild and whatnot. That's not going to work. Because Xander Zayas, he does have a good jab. Xander Zayas does know how to use angles. He is athletic to a degree. Is he as athletic as Jerome Boots Ennis? Probably not. But his size could neutralize a lot of that athleticism, right? The size of Xander could neutralize some of that athleticism, right? If Boots is just going to try to walk him down, press forward, right, and get him out of there. That may not be the recipe, you know. It may not be the recipe for success if you're Jerome Boots Ennis, because he does have that in him. Boots is susceptible to shots. Boots has a thing, right? He doesn't respect he doesn't respect a lot of people's power, right? So I don't want him to even get into a situation where Xander has to quote unquote make Boots respect his power, right? If I'm Boots. Boots, I don't want you to do that, Boots. I want you to respect Xander's power from the beginning, right? I want you to respect Xander's power from the beginning, right? Because Boots defensively at times he leaves himself susceptible to shots. And it's mostly when he's just, trying to power guys down and walking forward. Now, again, I said a lot of times that's after he's already made the decision that this guy probably can't hurt me, right? But we saw in that second Karen fight, why Karen couldn't hurt him, right? He made that decision. Karen can't hurt me. Karen couldn't hurt him, right? But what Karen did was, and this is the key, I think, for Xander. This is where I think Xander's key to victory is going to be, his main key to victory. This is what I think Xander and his camp has been working on. I ain't saying I got no inside tip, but I might. But I'm saying this out loud because y'all know I like Jerome Boots Ennis, right? I'm a Jerome Boots Ennis guy. I don't know if his team is listening right now, but yeah. Uh Xander is going to be trying to attack Jerome Boots in his body. You know what I mean? What Karen did, and Karen exposed this, right? Karen exposed this. I was exposed, may be the wrong word, right? But Karen did this really well versus Jerome Boots Ennis, right? The thing that Karen did really well early, you couldn't really tell. It didn't really register, right? It didn't really. hit the bank like you wanted it to hit the bank, right? And then, right, it wasn't an instant gratification. It wasn't instant gratification, right? It wasn't an instant payout. It wasn't an instant cash out. But it eventually hit the bank. What Karen did in that fight, the first fight he just ran around the ring, right? But in that second fight, Karen used his body work. He attacked Boots' body. He attacked Boots' body early, and Boots walked through it early. He walked through a lot of it. Just walked it down. Just walked it down. Just walked it down. But over the course of the fight, about in those middle rounds, Boots slowed down. He slowed down. And I think that's what Xander Zayas and his team are going to do. Xander team listen to this too, by the way. I know he got guys that listen to this as well, right? I think that's going to be the trick. I think that's the focus. I think that's the focus for Xander and his team. They're going to attack his body. They're going to try to work him down. They're going to do what Karen did. They're going to do what Karen did, right? Because Boots makes the mistake of, and it can be a mistake. It hasn't been much of a mistake yet, right? But it can be a mistake. Boots makes the mistake of walking through guys. He makes the mistake of not respecting guys' power because it may not affect him early. So he may walk you down early and try to get you out of there. But if he can't get you out of there early, then we saw with Karen, who not many people are able to even make it to where Karen made it, which is why we haven't seen it a lot, right? Which is why we haven't seen it a lot, right? But Karen in that second fight, he worked he worked a pretty good gameplay. He was able to, and I'm pretty sure more people had that game plan, right? But Karen was able to do it, a little more successful. He was able to take a couple of those shots, work the body, work Jerron down, and that's what he did. And Jerron did slow down over the course of that fight, which is how I think Karen made it through, uh, right? And I think that Xander is going to take a lot of that and put it into his, you know, game plan. So I think their trick is to attack the body of Jerome Booth, and it's not up top, right? And that's how Xander Zayas is going to win this fight. You know what I mean? He can't get into a thing trying to walk Boots down. He has to attack Boots' body. The thing is, you're not going to beat Boots walking through him, walking him down. You actually beat Boots by outboxing him, right? Using the ring, using your angles. Xander Zayas actually likes to do that. He actually does. He enjoys doing it, right? Some people want Xander Zayas to sit on his punches a little more, be a little more of a brute. I respect Xander Zayas more now because I see the maturation of his boxing skill, how far he came. He actually likes to do that. So he's going to be a bigger fighter than Karen. He's going to be just as athletic, if not more athletic than Karen, right? He may doesn't have as quick a feet as Karen, right? But he has educated feet, right? Like Karen, Xander, right? So I think Xander, if you look at the fighters that give Boots problem, it's not big punchers. He knocks big punchers out. The people who gives Boots problems are people who makes him the cat and make him chase them instead of them chasing him. When you come to Jerome Boots Ennis, he can set you up with his shots. When you make Jerome Boots Ennis come to you, you could catch him with your shots because he wants to touch you so bad. He wants to fight, right? Boots wants to fight, actually, right? And what Karen did was he took the fight away early, right? With the ring movement, the distance, the angles. He zapped the body with the body work, right? And then later on, he made it a fight after Boots slowed down. Boots lost some of that power, right? Lost some of that athleticism. And I think Xander Zayas and his squad are going to try to do a lot of that. And with Xander being, a bigger guy, I think he hits harder than Karen, right? I think he can have some of the same effects, that Karen had, if not more, right? So that's the plan, I think, for Xander's eyes, right? If I'm Jerome Boost Ennis, my game plan is don't walk into the traps, right? Don't walk into the traps, right? Don't get into, a fight where I'm thinking emotionally, right? I'm not gonna let Xander mentally get me out of my game if I'm Jerome Boots Ennis. I don't want Jerome Boots Ennis chasing Xander around the ring. If I'm Jerome, I'm actually going to use my boxing skills, right, and set up my shot. I'm using my speed, right. I'm going to be first. I'm going to be first, and I'm going to be third. I'm going to be first, and then when you try to counter me, I'm gonna counter you, countering me, and then I'm gonna get out of there. I'm gonna use my ability because if this comes down to just a boxing match, Jerome Boots Ennis wins that because he's gonna be faster, right? The better boxer, it could be what and what, but I think he's going to be the faster, more athletic, twitchier, quicker athlete in the ring, and he has the ability, I think, to get off better first in a pure boxing match. Xander wants to make it. Xander wants to make it a bit of a boxing match early. You know what I mean? Attack the body, gas boots to beat him late. If I'm Jerome Boots Ennis, I want to keep this fight clean all the way through. I want it to start as a boxing match, and I want it to finish as a boxing match that I'm winning. Because if I'm making Xander Zayas the mouse, then Boots is best when he can walk people into his traps, right? Xander Zayas is most comfortable moving around the ring, uh, right, and countering. We saw Karen be able to give Boots problems doing the same thing. So I do think Xander has the style to be able to beat Boots. When I'm banking on Boots being able to do it, I'm banking on Boots's athleticism. I'm banking on Boots's uh uh quickness. I'm banking on Boots's ability to lay in first, right? And I'm banking on Boosie's ability to not just get caught in the trap of following Xander around the ring like Xander wants him to. You know what I mean? So basically, I'm going with the better athlete in this. I think their boxing maybe is about what and what. I think people can get a little confused, right? Boosie is the better boxer. Is he? He's the more athletic boxer, right? I don't necessarily know if he's better at boxing than Xander. I think they might be what and what, right? But I think he's the better fighter, right? I think he's the better athlete. I think he's more explosive, right? IQ, I think Xander is pretty smart. Xander can get caught with shots, but so can Jerome Boost Ennis, which is why this fight is interesting, right? Because both of these dudes and Xander, I would say Boots get caught with shots because he's trying to walk through you. Xander get caught with shots because Xander get caught with shots, right? You know what I mean? A lot of time Boots is, you know, trying to walk you down, right? I've seen him get caught a little bit, moving in forward. So he can get caught with shots, man. So, so this is going to get interesting. Both guys have slight, but these guys have good defense, right? But both guys have slight leaks in their defense at times, right? I've seen both guys take a little more punishment, right? I only seen Boost do it once. I seen Xander do it once or twice. Not too much from either guy, right? But have seen it before. But this is interesting, man. This is literally going to be which fighter can impose their will, right? This is a closer fight, I think, than I say the value is actually on Xander, but I'm banking on the fact that Jerome Boots Ennis. I'm banking on the fact that Jerome Boots Ennis is able to out IQ Xander, outbox Xander. Don't fall into the trap of just following Xander around the ring. Right, I think it's gonna be a good fight. As far as distance method wise, I don't think that this fight is going to end in a stoppage. Right, I don't think anybody's going to get knocked out. If somebody does get knocked out, because I think even if, let's say, Jerome Boost Ennis is able to, get off on Xander, I think Xander is smart enough, athletic enough to be able to get through there and go the distance. But I don't think Xander's the type of guy who's going to get knocked out. Now Jerome Boots, Ennis, Xander hasn't really been stopping people at this weight class, right? And even when they asked Xander, like, you think you gonna stop him? Xander said, uh, he didn't really commit to, yeah, I'm gonna stop him, right? So I don't even think Xander think he's gonna stop him, right? So something is telling me that this fight is going the distance. I do think it's going to turn into a boxing match. I think it'll be an explosive boxing match. Right. I think it's gonna be an explosive boxing match. There's gonna be a bit of a high level boxing match in which Jerome Boots Ennis wins. If it becomes more of a fight, it's because Xander Zayas playing work to, go to Boots' body early and work him down, which I'm thinking that it's not, right? I'm hoping that it's not, at least, right? Yeah, at least I'm hoping that it's not, right, going to work. You know what I mean? But I do got Jerome Boots Ennis, but I think this fight is close. I think this. I think some people think this fight is 80-20 either way. Right? You got the Jerome Boots Ennis fans saying, he go watch him. You got Xander's fans saying that he go watch him. I think this fight is more like 60-40, right? Just given the fact, just all things considered, just given the fact of, I think Xander has a lot of the tools that you need to balance out Jerome Boots Ennis. Right. So Jerome Booth Ennis goes in here and he stops Xander. I'm going to give him full credit, you know what I mean, for stopping Xander. If Xander goes in here and he figures out a way to beat Jerome Booth Ennis, I'm gonna give him full credit for beating Jerome Booth Ennis. If Boots goes in here, but I know if Boots goes in here and he wins, let's say a close fight. He wins a close fight. They just say Xander, let's say Boots wins it 7-5, right? Boots wins it 7-5 in a tough fight. Boots wins it 7-5 in a tough fight where it could have went either way type deal. Fans go kill him, right? I know fans go kill him. You know what I mean? Fans go kill him. You know what I mean? I know the fans go kill him, right? But I don't feel like you should kill any of these guys because both of these guys are top level fighters. Now, you can have your opinion about who's elite and who's not elite, but at the 154-pound division right now, can you tell me a fighter? Can you tell me you can't name me many fighters, right? Who are better than Boots and Xander, right? You can name Fundora. Who else you gonna name? You can name Boots or Xander, right? Who else you gonna name? Those are the top guys. So these will be considered elite 140, 154 pounders, whether you like it or not. These are the elite 154 pounders of today. These are the guys at the top of the division, right? So you got to fight between two of the elite fighters at the 154-pound division right now. And I think it's a little closer than people think. And I'm not saying that Boots can't knock him out. I'm not saying that Xander can't, beat up Boots, right? But what I'm saying is that I think it's closer than everybody thinking, right? I think people should put more respect on, this fight actually happening and it actually is coming down. It's just for you to feel like Boots to just go completely watch Xander, I think it's fucking crazy, right? And for you to feel like that Xander is just gonna go in there, beat up Boots and bully Boots because he's so much bigger, I think that's crazy as well. I am a little surprised though at how fucking big Xander is, but to bully Boots, no, right? Now there is a formula where that happens, but you're going to have to break him down with that body work. Let me step this way. But you're going to have to break him down with that body work, right? Like I was talking about earlier, in order for that to happen, right? Because Karen was able to work Boots down a little bit, right? So if Xander can work him down, but the thing with that is Karen took some shots to get to that point where he could work Boots down. He took some shots, right? So is Xander gonna be willing, to step in that fire with Jerome because it takes some courage to step in that fire. Karen was almost forced to step in that fire, given the fact that everybody said you fucking ran the whole fight the first time, right? So Karen had to do that for his family, right? Karen had to do that for his family, right? Karen was out here embarrassing the family, right? Running around and shit, right? So he had to do that. So he had to do that, right? But you're gonna have to take something to give some, right? I think if you're Xander Zayas, if you're Jerome Boost Ennis, right? I don't want you taking much. I don't want you getting into a firefight with Xander Zayas. But if Xander Zayas is going to win this because he's going to be athletically deficient, right? He's going to be speed deficient, right? He's probably going to have to take a little bit, right? But actually, if he do it the right way, you know, he could avoid it. But I think the big key for him is going to be the body work. I think they're gonna try to work the body of Jerome Boots and just work him down like Karen did. And I tell you another reason I think that. And I tell you another reason I think that. Because when I listened to Xander Zayas talk, I heard him say, yeah, if it comes, it comes, right? I'm gonna go in there, do what I have to do. If the knockout comes, it comes, right? That sound like to me that they're working on a plan to break him down. Right. That sounds like to me that they're working on a plan to, try to break him down. So I think Boost gotta avoid the body work, right? I think if Boost can avoid that body work of Xander, right? If he cannot stand there, like don't take shots in this fight. You know what I mean? Even if you feel like, oh yeah, the guy can't hurt me, eventually those shots add up. Like it added up. That body work added up against Chuck, right? And as big as fucking Xander is, you don't want to do that against Xander. You don't want to have to be standing there in the pocket with Xander. Well, I think you are faster than. I think Boost is faster than. I think Boost is more twitchy than him, right? So I think Boost is going to have the advantage. So I think Boost is going to have the advantage there for sure, right? But I don't want him taking too much damage. You know what I mean against Xander, man. I don't want him. I don't want Jerome. Don't make it a. Don't make it a. Who got a bigger nuts contest, right? That's a big boy. It's a big dude, right? And now you haven't been getting knockouts like that at 154, right? True enough. If Jerome Boost Ennis getting here and Xander Zayas can't hurt him, that'd be crazy, right? Because in my mind, I'm thinking because Xander's going to be the biggest guy that Boots face, right? Xander be able to hurt him, right? So that's my train of thought. Like that's why I don't want him to necessarily train with Xander. I want him to use his boxing ability. I want him to go in there and I want him to outbox Xander, right? You know what I'm saying? Don't get into a fight. This should be a clean, smooth fight, right? It should be a smooth, clean fight. If you're Jerron, you want this shit to be as pretty as can be, right? Because you have the speed in this, you have the quickness in this, right? You have the twitchiness in this, right? So make this a boxing match. I want if I'm Jerron Boots Ennis, I'm not even thinking knockout. I got Jerron Boots Ennis by decision, by the way. I don't know if y'all got that. I got Jerron to win this, and I got Jerron Boots Ennis by decision. If I'm Jerron Boots Ennis, I'm not even thinking knockout. I'm thinking perfection. I'm thinking execute. I'm thinking I'm thinking hit and not be hit. Right. And if you do that, being Jerron Boots Ennis, the stoppage is going to come. Right. If you could do that, the stoppage is probably going to come. Right. But I am expecting Xander to give him a little push. I'm expecting the Boots to be Boots. I'm expecting Boots at some point to get in there and get dirty because that's what Boots do. Right. So I'm expecting that to extend the fight. Right. But I do kind of think it's going long. I think Boots wins this fight. Most of the value, all of the value actually is on Xander. Right. So if you're a Xander fan, I know you ecstatic right now because you're getting hella money right now with Xander. I'm thinking more. Matter of fact, let's check the odds. Let's check the odds on it real quick. Y'all hit that thumbs up for your boy, man, when you come in this thing too. Y'all hit that thumbs up when you slide through. Don't be scared. Don't be scared, man. Hit that thumbs up for your boy. Let's check the odds on this. Let's check the odds on this thing, man. Don't be scared. I get mad. You go get your. Don't what you go do. All right, my bad. But yeah, let me check the odds on this. Okay, so let's go to. I think Boost like minus 400 or something like that, right? So the value is with Xander, right? But something tells me that nobody's going to get knocked out in this fight. Something tells me that nobody is going to get knocked out in this fight. But I wish I'm a little worried for Boots, just given the fact that Xander has the ability to use the angles, use the ring, right? He could box because you don't beat Boots by walking through him. You beat Boots by outboxing. You beat Boots by being elusive. Actually, you beat Boots by being fleet of foot and not outboxing Boots offensively, right? But you beat Boots by you know you got to make him. You got to frustrate Boots. You got to frustrate Boots to beat him, right? You don't frustrate him by walking him down, coming forward. Because that's where he wants to be. It's where he feels most at home. You frustrated him by being hard to hit. So if you can be hard to hit, and Xander can be hard to hit, right, when he wants to. Xander problem is he likes to get into firefights, right? So if he start getting into his firefights, walking forward, I think he puts Boots in hit more of his natural state of, catching and shooting, rolling with it, got punches, getting hit, not getting hit, delivering his shots, right? Rather than having to be that cat and chase the mouse. Xander wants to make Boots chase the mouse. Boots wants to pretty much, catch and shoot. You know what I mean? With Xander, right? So Xander got to make Boots chase him, right? And Boots got to not fall into the trap of, just following Xander around the ring and setting Xander up for his own traps instead of falling into Xander traps, right? Sometimes Boots he wants the guy to just fight. He wants you just to bring a fight. He coming forward, you coming forward, y'all go fight. He gonna knock you out, right? But the people who give Boots the most problems, which was Karen the 2 times, used the ring. So, but Jerome Boots Ennis plus decision is plus 250. Jerome Boots Ennis KO is minus 135. So me seeing that brings joy to my heart. I got Jerome Boots Ennis points decision over Xander Zayas is at plus 250. So that's what we rocking with, man. We going Jerome Boots Ennis punch decision over Xander Zayas. Now I'm debating if I'm gonna put this. I'm debating if I'm gonna put this one. Nah, I ain't gonna put it up. I ain't gonna have it. I ain't gonna have it. But yeah, yep, Jerome Boots Ennis. So I'm gonna timestamp it at 43. I'm gonna timestamp it at 43. I'm gonna end this joint at 45 or 43:30, whatever. However long I get to it. Yep. So we going Boost in this, y'all, man. Distance. We going Boost in this on the points, right? That's plus 250. Right. So that's what we rocking with. We're gonna timestamp it at 40. We're gonna timestamp it at 44. Right. So they'll just see all this shit. I do it the last minute. Right. We'll do it at 44.25. Right, so I'm gonna time to be at 44.25, man. But we got Jerome Boots in this, man. Punch decision gets you to plus 250. Uh I don't think Jerome Boots in this knocks Xander. I think Xander find a way to make it to the end of the bell. I think Jerome Boots in is gonna have to outbox, and if he knocks Xander out, that'd be fucking amazing, right? That'd be fucking amazing. Nobody has ever stopped Xander. I don't see necessarily Xander Zayas getting stopped, right? But if Boots is able to stop Xander Zayas, then goddamn, right? If Xander is able to win this fight, then goddamn, right? You know what I mean? I got Boots winning this fight. I got Boots winning this fight on points decision. Or you know what I mean? I would say Jerome Boost Ennis 8-4. Ron Boost Ennis 8 rounds to 4. But that's all I got for y'all, man. Skin the Hardaway Southern T. This ain't the pass. Wait, y'all got any questions? Y'all got any questions before I get up out of here? Y'all got any questions before I get up out of here? Anybody got any questions before I get? But I got Jerome Boost Ennis, man. Points decision for the win, though. I do think this fight is gonna be a little harder than people think, though. Anybody got any questions, man, for our slide? For our slide Clyde. All right, man. Peace.